Hello, and welcome to Doomed to Fail. We are a podcast that brings you historical stories. Some are disasters, some are failures, some are famous, some are not famous, all sorts of things. And we kind of, because of that, don't have a niche, which is like murder to a podcast. But I think we are telling a story, a common thread of humanity and history and how we got to where we are. So today I'm going to tell you about some of our pop culture episodes. We have over 200 episodes. They're available anywhere you listen and they're all ad free. So there's tons to binge on. So if you like something in this realm, maybe you'll like something in another one because, history is gossip. That's it. Okay, so starting at the beginning, when you hear our theme song, we have the reading of the verdict in the O.J. Simpson trial. So you can revisit that with us in episode 10, part 1, O.J. and Nicole Simpson. So we actually couldn't believe we got to episode 10. We were like, this is crazy. Episode 10, I did the Kennedys because that's the other half of our theme song. So listen to that one. Then we have episode 18 about Bernie Teed. So he was a man who met an older woman, and I don't think their relationship was like intimate, but it was very weirdly best friendly, and he ended up murdering her. This is in pop culture because it actually is a movie with Jack Black called Bernie. I haven't seen it, but learn about it. Episode 18. The other half of episode 18, because we used to do it in two halves, now we don't, but the other half of episode 18 is about Ed and Lorraine Warren. I mean, could you imagine two more prominently pop culture folks? I actually was just at the movies and there's another Conjuring and it said be prepared for the end, and I'm like, how dare you end this franchise? Patrick Wilson will live forever, even though he's absolutely nothing like Ed Warren, who is a charlatan and not a sexual predator. Just not a good man. Very very not good man. But it's a cool story. So episode 18 part 2, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they're from The Conjuring, Amityville Horror, all of that. Episode 24, part 1 is on Lizzie Borden. This is pop culture to me because this is like, how did I know about this murder in the 80s when I was a child? We sang the song. It scared the crap out of me. I don't know if she did it. I was so, for my whole life, and this is like, when I told Fars this, who's my co host, he was like, why do you think about this? And I'm like, what part of America did you grow up in? Because I feel like it's such a big part of my initial foray into horror and mystery and all of that, but I thought she did it, right? After reading a book on it and doing a little bit more research, whatever that means, I don't know. There's like a whole extra set of rooms in the attic that is not mentioned in anything that I've ever seen, and the uncle is like very suspicious, and a man who's stronger than her, and it was so hot, and they weren't eating, which is so also interesting because there's this part of the story where she goes outside and eats like 4 pears off the pear tree, and people are like, that is so weird, why would she do that? And I'm like, because she was starving, because the only food they had in the house was this like 2-month-old stew that they kept just reheating because it was so hot, and they kept closing all the doors and everybody was sick, and it's just, I don't know, maybe she poisoned them but didn't ask them. What do you think? Tell me. I could talk about it more. I've just talked about it for 3 minutes. Listen to the whole episode 24. Then episode 36 is on a wrestling star, Bruiser Brody. So Bruiser Brody was a big star in the WWE, and he ended up getting murdered in Puerto Rico. And it's a kind of a mystery, and actually very, very sad. So you can listen to that. Then we skip a ton. There's probably some that are pop culture between 36 and 155, but episode 155 is on Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC. I learned a little bit more about how she passed away and her life and legacy in that one. Episode 165 is about Stella Liebeck, and you probably have not heard her name, but you know her story. Stella is the woman who spilled McDonald's coffee on her lap. There's so many interesting things here, right? The coffee was scalding. It was so hot. It fused parts of her body together. She had insane burns in her area. And then when Faraz and I were talking about this, he was like, well, why would you have a cup of coffee between your legs? And I'm like, that is very something I would do. I would pull it between my legs and put the sugar in, blah, blah, blah. But also, the car that she was in with her grandson did not have cup holders. Cup holders were not standard in cars the whole time we had cars, which is super interesting. It also kind of just reminded me, like, how do people consume food differently. I guess I skipped Bonnie and Clyde, but there's Bonnie and Clyde. We have one episode on them as well. But I always think about this is ridiculous. If you're listening to this, please, I don't know, send me an email and say I heard this. I heard your rant. doomed2failpod@gmail.com. But when Bonnie and Clyde were killed by the police, she was holding a hamburger, and so she was holding just like one hamburger. So they would go and get like not like a meal, but like a hamburger, like the sandwich. And then they also started to not invent, but like necessitate taking food out, like takeout food. That wasn't a thing. So they would go to restaurants and be like, "Can we borrow your plates?" And we'll bring them back, and they would. It's just fascinating that time period. So I don't know. Search Bonnie and Clyde. We have that too. I don't know how I got there. Cup holders, just things that are standard. Okay. Episode 168, Baby Jessica. Also, as a child of the 80s, do you remember when Jessica fell into a well? It's actually kind of a pipe in her aunt's backyard in Texas, and it was international news for a good day or so as we tried to get her out, and we did, and she is good, and she is a grown-up, and she is married, and she has children, and she is thriving, so all of that is good. Episode 175, Fars digs down into the psychology of celebrity obsession. He's definitely like a I'm not watching a reward show kind of guy. And so we talk about, crazy things people have done in the name of celebrity. Episode 189 is the making of the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau. Oh, if you haven't seen it, listen to our episode, then watch the movie. I watched it after Fars recorded this episode with me, and oh my goodness, it is ridiculous. It is Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando, and everyone just seems awful. There's like a director who disappeared into the woods. It's so funny. You can picture Marlon Brando in this film if you picture him with like his face painted white. It's wild. So listen to that one. And then episode 179, High Hopes, the DeFeo family. This ties us back to the Warrens, because we know the Warrens are not real. Like, demons aren't real. The Warrens are charlatans. But one of the things that they worked on was the Amityville horror case. And, I think that the family in the Amityville horror was making it up, obviously. But there was a real murder in that house. So before the Lutz family moved into the house in Amityville, New York, the DeFeo family was murdered by their son. And he used the demons told me to do it defense, which like we don't believe, but also like he could have been, I believe that he might have thought that if he was schizophrenic for real. Also, it's just kind of mysterious how he could have killed 6 people with a shotgun and not have someone here. So listen to that. Episode 203, Hands Across America. It kind of goes back to like celebrity obsession and celebrity philanthropy, which was another big thing in the 80s. So Hands Across America was an idea that you could hold hands from one side of America to the other, kind of sponsored by Live Aid, etc. And it's just fun. They didn't do it. They didn't go all the way across. And then finally, episode 206, I'm kind of doing things that like became movies, but this is the story of Mehran Karimi Nasseri, who is the person who stayed at Charles de Gaulle Airport for 18 years. So his story is in the Tom Hanks movie The Terminal, which is way romanticized, because really, this man should have just signed some papers and left. It's kind of bizarre. So that's a handful of pop culture episodes. They dig into history, they dig into murder, they dig into all sorts of different things. I hope you like them. Please let me know what you'd like us to talk about. doomed2failpod@gmail.com, doomed2failpod at all the socials. And thank you. I appreciate you.